The sun hung low over the wide-open ranch, its golden rays spilling across the dry earth like molten fire, shimmering over the wooden fences and distant barns that stood as silent witnesses to the secrets, sins, and desires buried deep within this land. It was supposed to be an ordinary evening, quiet, predictable, almost painfully slow, when the rancher, Cole Marston, returned from checking the cattle spread across the dusty plains. But fate, as it always does, had different plans. He found her near the barn, crying softly, her white dress dirt-stained, clinging to her trembling body. Her name was Elara, at least that's what she whispered when he first asked her, voice fragile like it would shatter if she spoke too loud. Cole had seen sadness before, but never like this, never so raw, so desperate, so full of a pain she clearly didn't know how to carry alone. He approached her slowly, like approaching a wounded horse, gentle and careful. "You okay, miss?" he asked, but she only lifted her face, tears streaking her cheeks, and fell into his arms, completely, helplessly, as though she'd been holding herself together for years and finally broke. He didn't know what to do, but something inside him, something buried in long quiet, stirred awake. He took her inside the barn, away from the burning sun, sat her on a stack of hay, and waited for her to breathe. She told him she had run away. From who? From where? She didn't say. Not then. Not fully. She only said she had nowhere to go, no one left, and no strength to keep running. Cole listened, silent and steady, just like the earth beneath their feet. But the way she stared at him, eyes searching him, pleading with him, almost devouring him with the intensity of her vulnerability, made something in his chest tighten. She touched his hand, hesitantly at first, then firmly, as though needing to anchor herself to something real. Something safe. "Shoo," she whispered, leaning closer, her breath trembling against his skin. I need to feel something that doesn't hurt." Cole's heart hammered like a wild stallion trapped in its pen. He tried to pull back, tried to remind himself of who he was, what he was, a married man, a rancher with a home, a life, a loyal wife waiting for him. But the loneliness he'd buried for years, the quiet coldness that had settled between him and his wife long ago, rose like a storm he'd pretended wasn't coming. Elara moved closer, her fingers tracing his jawline with such aching tenderness that he felt his resolve slipping like dust through open hands. "Make me forget," she breathed, voice breaking, eyes glistening with pain that twisted like a knife straight into his heart. "Just, for a moment, make it stop." He should have stood up. He should have walked away. He should have remembered the wedding ring still warm on his finger. But instead, he cupped her face, wiped her tears with his thumb, and when her lips brushed against his, soft and trembling, he exhaled the breath he didn't know he'd been holding. What followed was not wild, not reckless, not sinful in the way stories often tell, but slow, gentle, devastatingly tender. She clung to him like she was drowning, and he held her like she was something precious he'd forgotten he deserved to feel. When it was over, she rested her head against his chest, breathing deeply, as though inhaling a moment of peace she had never known existed. Cole stroked her hair, trying to steady the chaos in his chest, but reality seeped back in, cold and merciless. He had crossed a line that could never be erased. And fate, again, was not finished with him. Because just when he thought the moment would settle into something quiet, something manageable, they heard the distant sound of hooves, fast, urgent, wrong. Cole stood sharply. Elara grabbed his arm, shaking. "They found me," she whispered, eyes wide with terror. "Cole, they found me." Before he could ask who they were, the riders emerged in the distance, dark figures, moving with purpose, kicking up clouds of dust as they thundered toward the ranch. Cole grabbed her hand, pulled her behind the barn, and scanned the approaching riders with the sharp instinct of a man who'd faced more danger than he admitted. But as he prepared to confront whatever threat was coming, another realization hit him harder than the storm riding toward them. His wife, Anna, was returning home early that day. She'd left town at dawn to collect supplies. She'd be riding up the ranch road at any moment. And if she saw Elara there, disheveled dress, trembling body, the guilt of what had happened still burning on Cole's skin, it wouldn't just destroy his marriage. It would destroy Elara, and maybe even cost her life, depending on who those riders were. "Cole, please," Elara whispered, voice cracking as she pressed her body against his, seeking safety. "Don't let them take me. Don't let anyone take me again. Again." That word told him everything he needed to know. Something terrible had happened to her. Something she couldn't speak about. Something she refused to return to. Cole swallowed hard, torn between three storms, the riders approaching with unknown intent, the broken girl clutching him like he was her only hope, and the wife he had betrayed, riding home on the only road leading straight into the danger, and straight into the truth. He looked into Elara's eyes, then toward the horizon, where both danger and consequences raced toward him. And for the first time in years, he didn't know what the right thing was. He didn't even know what the possible thing was. But he knew one thing for certain: this was only the beginning. And the moment he stepped out from behind that barn, everything in his life would change forever. The riders drew closer, their silhouettes sharpening against the burning horizon, and Cole felt his pulse thundering in his ears as he dragged Elara deeper behind the barn, his mind spinning wildly between danger, guilt, and the inevitability of facing his own mistakes. But before he could form a plan, the distant crunch of wheels on gravel made his blood run cold. Anna's wagon was returning, earlier than he expected, rolling right toward the ranch yard where danger galloped closer by the second. Elara's breath hitched as she clutched his arm. "Cole, they'll kill me, they'll kill you too if you protect me," she whispered, voice trembling with a fear that seemed older than she was, and for a split second he almost buckled under the weight of everything closing in on them. The riders split into two lines as they neared the ranch, dust rising behind them like a storm cloud. They weren't bandits, no. Cole recognized the way they rode, disciplined, coordinated, too controlled to be outlaws. These were men who followed orders. Dangerous orders. "Who are they?" Cole hissed under his breath. Elara squeezed her eyes shut, tears slipping down her cheeks. "My husband's men," she whispered, breaking completely. Cole froze. "Your husband?" She nodded quickly, shaking with shame and terror. "I didn't tell you, I couldn't. He's a land baron, powerful, cruel, he owns everything from the mountains to the river. I ran because he locked me in our house, because he said if I ever left, he'd put me in the ground and no one would ever ask why." Cole stared at her, heart sinking into a pit of cold regret. He had risked everything, his wife, his life, for a woman who hadn't even told him the biggest truth of all. But the pain in her eyes wasn't fake. Whatever her past was, whatever mistakes she carried, she was truly running for her life. And now her nightmare had arrived at his doorstep. The riders pulled up in front of the main yard, dust settling around them like a curtain unveiling a tragedy. Their leader, a tall man with a black coat and a scar carved down his cheek, scanned the ranch with predatory calm. At that exact moment, Anna's wagon turned the corner into the yard. Cole's heart cracked. His wife froze at the sight of the armed men, confusion etched on her tired face. She was a good woman, gentle, loyal, hard-working, deserving of so much more than the betrayal now rotting the air between them. The rider with the scar dismounted, lifting his hat slightly in mock politeness. "Ma'am," he said to Anna, "we're looking for someone." "A woman." "A runaway." Anna blinked, alarm flickering in her eyes. I haven't seen anybody. This is a quiet ranch." The man's lips curled. "Mind if we look around?" Cole knew he had seconds, maybe less, before the riders found Elara, and before Anna found out what he had done. He turned to Elara. "If they catch you, they'll drag you back," he said. "But if Anna sees you here like this, it'll destroy her." Elara looked at him, understanding dawning in her eyes. "I never wanted to ruin your life," she whispered. "I just needed someone to be kind to me." Before he could respond, a gun cocked behind them. "Well, ain't this interesting?" a voice drawled. One of the riders had slipped behind the barn and found them. Cole shoved Elara behind him instinctively as the rider smirked. "Boss said she'd run for help. Didn't expect her helper to be you." Cole lunged, tackling the men before he could fire. The two men crashed into the hay, wrestling violently, dust flying around them as Cole fought like a man who had everything to lose. The gun discharged, the bullet punching a hole through the barn wall. Anna screamed from the front yard. The leader drew his own weapon. "Find them," he barked. 3 riders stormed toward the back of the barn. Cole punched, rolled, grabbed the rider's wrist, slammed it into the ground, disarmed him, then fired. The first rider dropped. The second rounded the barn. Cole fired again, another down. The third ducked behind the water trough and shot back, splintering wood near Cole's face. "Cole!" Anna cried, running toward the chaos, only to freeze when she saw Elara hiding behind him, dress torn, hair wild, guilt written all over both of their faces. Anna's world shattered in a single second. "Who is she?" she whispered, voice trembling, betrayal slicing every word. Cole wanted to speak, to explain, but there was no explanation that would save him. Not now, not ever. And Elara knew it. She stepped forward, tears streaming. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "You don't know me. I never meant to come here, I never meant to," but her apology was cut short as the last rider fired again. Cole shielded Anna, firing back and dropping him. Silence fell. Smoke drifted. Dust settled. And the leader stared at them with cold, boiling fury. "This ends now," he muttered, raising his gun and walking toward them. Elara stepped forward, surprising all of them. "If you want me," she said, voice shaking yet strong, "take me. Leave them out of it. They had nothing to do with, you belong to me," the scarred man snarled. "And anyone who hides you dies." Cole had no time to think. No time to fear. Only time to act. He grabbed a pitchfork leaning against the barn wall and hurled it like a spear. It struck the man's shoulder, knocking him back. Cole rushed forward, tackled him, disarmed him, and the two rolled violently in the dirt. The gun slid out of reach. The men drew a knife. Cole grabbed his wrist, fighting with every ounce of strength left in him. Anna screamed his name. Elara cried out. The knife trembled inches from Cole's throat. With a final surge of strength, fueled by guilt, fear, and the desperate need to protect the two women whose lives had been collided by fate, Cole twisted the man's wrist. The knife dropped. Cole slammed him to the ground, hard. And this time, he didn't hesitate. The fight ended. The ranch fell silent. Elara collapsed to her knees, shaking uncontrollably. Cole stood, panting, covered in dust and the weight of his sins. Anna stared at him, not with anger, not with fury, but with a heartbreaking emptiness that hurt more than any bullet could. "Cole," she whispered, "tell me the truth, everything." And so he did. Not with excuses. Not with lies. Not with pretty words. He told her everything, how he found Elara, how he broke his vows, how fear and loneliness made him weak, how he made a mistake that could never be undone but one he would regret for the rest of his life. Anna listened, silent, tears slipping down her face. When he finished, she walked away from him, not leaving, not staying, just stepping away because her heart didn't know where to stand anymore. Elara slowly approached Anna. "I never wanted your husband," she whispered through tears. "I just wanted to stop hurting." Anna looked at her with a softness Cole didn't expect. "Then don't hurt anymore," she said gently. "Start over. Somewhere far. Somewhere safe." Cole stepped forward. "I'll help get her away from here," he said. "I owe her that much." Anna nodded. "And after that, we'll decide what's left of us." They put Elara on Anna's horse and sent her riding toward the mountains, toward freedom she had never known. Cole watched her disappear into the horizon, a ghost from a chapter he wished he could erase. When he turned back, Anna stood waiting. Hurt. Broken. But still there. "Cole," she whispered, "if you want to fix this, you'll have to fight harder than you ever fought today." He nodded. "I will." And together, wounded, shaken, but still standing, they walked back into the quiet house on the ranch, ready to face whatever tomorrow demanded. And somewhere beyond the hills, Elara rode toward a new beginning, finally free. Speech Balloon. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel, because more emotional, dramatic ranch tales are coming your way.